What if I told you that control isn't about domination or games? It's about mastering the unspoken emotional patterns that guide her behavior, patterns even she doesn't fully understand. Women have subtle psychological weaknesses, not flaws, but emotional openings, and the man who recognizes them gains quiet influence without ever needing to raise his voice. This isn't about manipulation, it's about leadership, stoic leadership, calm, observant, emotionally intelligent. Because when you understand her inner wiring, you guide the connection instead of reacting to it. Right now, most men operate on instinct, chasing beauty, begging for attention, losing themselves. But the ones who rise, they move from awareness, from control, from knowing exactly where influence lives. If you're ready to lead from the inside out, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment. I influence through awareness, not control. Number 1. The unspoken psychology that makes women chase you. Imagine standing in the eye of an emotional storm. Around you, the winds of validation, drama, and romantic confusion swirl, but you remain still. This stillness isn't emptiness, it's control. And that control is what draws her in. This video isn't about tricks or tactics, it's about truths. Not what women say they want, but what pulls them in subconsciously. Because the real attraction doesn't start in the mind, it begins in the shadows. The unspoken patterns, the emotional wiring she can't even explain. And when you understand these 10 psychological soft spots, you stop chasing women. You start pulling them in, not with effort, but with essence. Let's immediately break something important. Women are not addicted to wealth, looks, or words. They're addicted to emotional energy, the kind that makes them feel alive, safe, and challenged all at once. And guess what? That energy doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from the stoic man who leads with presence, not pressure, with direction, not desperation. You see, most men make the same fatal mistake. They chase her from a place of need. They give her comfort but not challenge, attention but not mystery, kindness but no backbone. And she may smile, but she won't stay. Because subconsciously, she's drawn to the man who makes her feel something deeper, the one who knows who he is, even when she tests, pulls away, or projects uncertainty. That's where Stoicism steps in, not as cold detachment, but as emotional structure. It teaches you that your mind is your fortress, your purpose is your compass, and your energy is your currency. It's not about being unreachable. So as we explore these 10 subtle psychological dynamics, her craving for unpredictability, her respect for strong boundaries, her addiction to emotional peaks, don't think, how do I use this? Think, how do I embody this? Because when you become the man she cannot control, you become the man she cannot forget. And here's the twist, this is not about her. It's about you. Understanding her psychology isn't a game. It's a mirror, reflecting who you are when you're not trying to please, prove, or perform. That's when the right women stop seeing you as an option and start seeing you as the answer they didn't know they were waiting for. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 2. Why she craves emotional escapism and how you can lead it. There's a reason why the man who stirs emotions wins over the man who only offers comfort. Women don't fall for logic, they fall into stories, and every story worth remembering has tension, surprise, and depth. That's emotional escapism, and it's one of her most powerful psychological cravings. She doesn't just want peace. She wants to feel alive. That's why she'll daydream about a man who challenges her worldview, not just one who agrees with everything she says. She'll miss the man who made her heart race, not the one who texted good morning every day without fail. Predictability is nice, but mystery, that's magnetic. From a Stoic lens, this doesn't mean becoming chaotic or manipulative, it means becoming dynamic. It's the difference between being a stagnant lake and a flowing river. One bores her, the other carries her. The Stoic man doesn't live to entertain, but he lives fully, and she feels that energy. So, how do you embody this? You don't always reply instantly. You're present, but not predictable. You say what you mean, but not always what she wants to hear. You flirt not to impress, but to tease the edge of her thoughts. You become the man whose presence creates moments she can't script, because they're real. And in a world addicted to superficiality, real is the most exciting emotion. This isn't about withholding affection, it's about layering it. You can be warm and still unpredictable. You can be kind and still a challenge. The trick is not letting her know exactly what comes next. When she thinks she's figured you out, you shift slightly, not to confuse her, but to keep evolving, and in doing so you invite her into your depth, not just your routine. Stoicism teaches us that we can control how we show up, and emotional leadership is about guiding her through an experience, not with games, but with gravity. A Stoic man doesn't chase chaos, but he knows how to create meaning within it. He invites her into the storm and stands calmly in its center. Remember, it's not the man who gives her everything that captures her heart. The man awakens something inside her that she didn't even know was asleep. Comment below. I lead with energy, not validation. Number 3. The unspoken addiction to strong boundaries. Being generous, available, and endlessly understanding makes you more lovable. But in feminine psychology, what truly earns a woman's respect isn't compliance, it's conviction. Women are drawn to men who know who they are, what they stand for, and what they won't tolerate. Boundaries aren't walls, they're magnets. When a man doesn't bend his values to avoid conflict or gain approval, he signals strength. He doesn't chase peace at the cost of his self-respect, and that quiet refusal to overextend himself becomes magnetic. Why? Because boundaries create tension, and in tension desire is born. Think of boundaries as emotional gravity. They give form to your presence. Without them, you become weightless. Pleasant, maybe, but forgettable. The man who never says no fades into the background. The man who stands firm, even gently, becomes unforgettable. From a Stoic perspective, this is self-command. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. If your boundary is that you won't tolerate disrespect, you don't announce it, you live it. If a woman flakes or crosses a line, you don't argue, you adjust. Not from ego, but from inner clarity. Women test boundaries not because they're cruel, but because they're wired to seek emotional safety. She pushes to feel the edge of your resolve. If it collapses, she loses trust. But if it holds with calm certainty, she relaxes into your leadership. That's not control. That's containment. So how do you embody strong boundaries? You speak less, but your words matter. You don't tolerate emotional chaos, yours or hers. You can walk away, not to punish, but to protect your peace. You don't compromise your purpose to fit into her plans. You let her come closer, not by chasing, standing still and speaking your energy. Women don't admit they crave boundaries, but watch how they lean in when you hold them. Watch how their respect deepens when you hold your line without drama. They don't want a man who breaks himself to please them. They want a man who remains. Stoicism doesn't teach emotional coldness. It teaches integrity. When your boundaries are rooted in self-respect, you don't need to demand her respect. It arrives naturally. And the man who respects himself becomes irresistible, Not because he withholds love, but because he doesn't beg for it. Now, speak out and comment below. I protect my energy with boundaries. Number 4. The thrill of uncertainty. Why credibility kills desire. There's a hidden contradiction inside every woman's emotional landscape. On the surface, she may say she wants peace, clarity, and a man who's always there. But deep within, what keeps her emotionally engaged isn't certainty, it's mystery. What stirs desire isn't full access, it's partial distance. That's why unpredictability, when used with intention, becomes a source of attraction. The Stoic man, rooted in inner stillness, doesn't chase, doesn't announce his every move, and doesn't offer emotional transparency just to be liked. Instead, he lives on purpose, and this naturally creates space. That space breeds curiosity, and curiosity breeds desire. When you respond immediately to every message, always available, always agreeable, always predictable, you strip away the tension. Without tension, there's no spark. Without space, there's no longing. The feminine thrives in mystery, and if your presence is always guaranteed, there's nothing left to explore. From a Stoic view, this isn't manipulation, it's self-discipline. You don't delay a reply to play games. You don't need to reply instantly because your peace isn't dependent on her validation. You don't over-explain because you're not trying to manage how she perceives you. And when you're silent, it's not punishment, it's presence without performance. Women interpret silence in a dozen ways. Is he losing interest? Has he moved on? Was I wrong about him? These aren't questions of cruelty. They're questions that deepen her emotional investment. Because what's unknown must be understood, and that triggers pursuit. You want her to wonder, not doubt your integrity, but wonder who you are when she's not watching. You want her to sense depth, not full display. Like a forest that reveals its secrets only to those who linger long enough, you become a man she wants to return to, not someone she feels she already owns. This doesn't mean playing hard to get, it means being hard to forget. When you live a full life, with purpose, boundaries, and direction, you naturally become less available and therefore more valuable. The man who fills his time with meaning doesn't need to chase. His absence speaks, his silence echoes. So, don't fear the unknown, embrace it. Let her earn access, let her invest emotionally. Let your unpredictability be the invitation to something deeper. Because when she has to reach for you, she becomes more connected to the experience of wanting you. Now, speak out and comment below. I attract through presence, not pursuit. Number 5. The magnetic pull of leadership. Why women follow direction, not confusion. An undeniable force draws women toward a man who leads, not with aggression or dominance, but with clarity. A man who knows what he wants, where he's going, and doesn't hesitate to walk the path. This kind of leadership is magnetic. It quiets uncertainty, creates structure, and gives her the one thing few men can offer today: emotional safety without control. Authentic leadership isn't about telling her what to do. It's about knowing what you're doing. It's when you have a plan and invite her into it, not because you need her to complete you, but because your life already has direction. She senses that. She leans in. Because instinctively, the feminine follows clarity. She doesn't want to carry the emotional and psychological weight of leading the relationship. The modern man often fears being decisive, mistaking it for arrogance. But indecision breeds doubt. A man who can't pick a restaurant won't make her feel secure in the storms of life. A man who always asks her what she wants just to avoid judgment becomes emotionally invisible. She doesn't just want freedom, she wants a direction to choose to follow. Stoicism teaches that a man must govern himself first. Marcus Aurelius didn't chase approval, he embodied wisdom in action. Epictetus didn't beg the world to understand him, he aligned his choices with principle, not popularity. That's leadership. In a relationship, this means you speak your truth calmly. You take initiative without waiting for permission. You hold vision even when it's inconvenient. Women feel this. When you confidently decide where to go, what boundary to set, how to respond without needing her validation, it inspires respect. It awakens something deeper than attraction. It builds trust. She starts to feel she can relax around you because you carry your weight. But leadership doesn't mean rigidity, it means flexibility with a spine. You listen, but you don't waver for fear of rejection. You adapt, but you don't abandon your values. You don't force her into your world, you invite her with the gravitational pull of certainty. So if you're wondering why she drifts, ask yourself, do I give direction or mirror her energy? Do I lead with vision or do I hide behind passivity? She wants to feel led, not managed. She wants to walk beside you, not drag you forward. And if you show up as a man who lives with inner command, she will follow, not because she has to, but because it feels safe to do so. Comment below, I lead with clarity, not control. Number 6. The desire for a man who doesn't need her. Why emotional independence is irresistible. One of the most powerful psychological truths in attraction is this. Women are not drawn to men who need them, they are magnetized by men who choose them. When a woman senses that you can live fully, happily, and purposefully without her, that's when she wants you the most. Not because of ego, but because freedom and wholeness are deeply attractive energies. This flips the script. Society teaches men to pursue, to convince, to prove their worth. But a man who centers his world around a woman quickly becomes emotionally dependent. He waits for texts, modifies his plans, shrinks his purpose, all hoping she will stay. Ironically, this effort erodes her respect. Why? Because no one wants to be someone else's emotional oxygen. A woman might enjoy attention for a moment, but she craves something more over time. A man who breathes on his own. Someone who has a life she wants to enter, not one that revolves around her. Stoicism teaches us that nothing external should dictate our inner peace. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. That includes emotional freedom. A Stoic man is grounded in his path, purpose, and sense of self. He doesn't chase, he invites. He doesn't cling, he inspires. Something profound happens when you stop making her the center of your emotional gravity. You begin to glow differently. Your focus shifts to things that matter. Your mission, your craft, your health, your evolution. You become rare because most men haven't learned how to love from abundance instead of lack. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being so full within yourself that your love is a gift, not a transaction. She'll feel the difference. Instead of wondering if you'll need her forever, she'll wonder how to become part of your already fulfilling life. And that's when attraction becomes real, not because you manipulated her, but because you became the kind of man who doesn't need love to survive. He simply adds it to a life already rich in meaning. So, pause next time you feel that urge to prove something to her. Ask yourself, am I offering presence or pleading for permission? Am I inviting her into my purpose or building my purpose around her? Comment below, I am complete without her, and that's why she wants me. Number 7. Women are drawn to selective men. Why not everyone deserves your attention? A man who gives his attention to everyone is rarely respected by anyone. Selectiveness has become a form of power in a world where validation is cheap and attention is abundant. Women are subconsciously drawn to men who don't offer approval easily because it signals discernment, confidence, and inner value. Most men try to win affection by being overly available. They shower compliments, reply instantly, and avoid disagreement to stay in her good graces. But what this communicates is a lack of standard. How can anyone feel truly chosen if every woman receives the same attention? Being selective doesn't mean being cold. It means clearly understanding your values, boundaries, and worth. It means not giving someone your time, energy, or admiration just because she's attractive. A Stoic man evaluates character, not curves. He rewards emotional maturity, not game. This is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to win. Because you're not looking for temporary chemistry, but seeking alignment. And when you live by this, women notice. They start to wonder, why doesn't he try so hard like the others? Why does his attention feel earned, not given? That mystery draws them in. Because what's rare is valuable. A man who is intentional about who he gives access to becomes a challenge worth chasing. She sees your silence not as rejection, but as refinement. She senses that your validation means more because you don't hand it out for free. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The approval of the unwise is no approval at all." So why seek validation from everyone? Why lower your standard just to feel liked for a moment? Stoicism reminds us that attention is not a gift to throw at the feet of desire. It's an offering, and it should come with meaning. So be selective. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. Let her earn your presence through authenticity, not just attraction. When she realizes that you value yourself so much that not even she is exempt from your standards, true desire begins. Ask yourself, do I seek to be chosen, or do I quietly choose? Comment below, not everyone deserves my energy, and that's what makes it powerful. Number 8. Women are emotionally addicted to drama. Why stillness is the ultimate disruption. There's a reason why emotional highs and lows make a relationship feel intense. For many women, the sensation of feeling deeply, even if it's through chaos, is more compelling than steady, predictable peace. This isn't about immaturity, it's about emotional stimulation, and in some cases, trauma bonding patterns that have wired excitement to instability. That's why so many women unconsciously gravitate toward men who trigger emotional movement, passion, jealousy, uncertainty, or temporary distance. These moments activate their nervous system. It becomes an emotional dance of, does he still care? Followed by the thrill of reassurance when he reappears. But here's the paradox. If you're always available, always agreeable, and always emotionally stable, without depth, you become forgettable. The drama they're wired to crave isn't about aggression, but contrast. When there's no contrast, there's no tension. And without tension, there's no attraction. Does this mean you should manipulate or create conflict to keep her attention? Not. That's the behavior of a boy, not a Stoic man. But what you must understand is this. Your calm must have gravity, your silence must have weight, your presence must pull like a storm about to break. A Stoic man doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. His composure under pressure, his refusal to overreact is the disruption. When she tries to provoke you with games and you respond with curiosity instead of conflict, she feels both seen and unsettled. She can't place you in a box. That's the drama she can't control. What draws her in? You become the quiet intensity in a world of loud reactions. The man who listens more than he speaks, walks away without explanation when disrespected, reappears stronger rather than weaker after silence. That man is unforgettable. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction." nor a man perfected without trials. You are not here to avoid friction, but to be unmoved by it. Let her emotional waves crash against your cliffs. Be still, not to suppress the storm, but to reflect its futility. This is how you remain in her mind, by refusing to participate in emotional chaos while carrying a presence too rich to ignore. Now speak out. I don't chase chaos, I become the calm it can't shake. Number 9. Women are intrigued by men who are hard to read. The power of emotional ambiguity. Mystery is not manipulation, it is restraint. In a world where most people overshare, over-explain and overreact, the man who remains unreadable becomes magnetic. For women, unpredictability isn't just exciting, it's stimulating. It engages the imagination, the intuition, and even their fantasies. When a man is emotionally transparent too soon, he offers her no space to explore, no tension to lean into. And when everything is predictable, what he'll say, when he'll text, how he'll respond, he slowly loses the psychological intrigue that sparks feminine desire. Women don't fall in love with what's given, they fall in love with what's discovered. That's why men who maintain mystery, through pauses in conversation, through silence in moments of tension, through a measured display of emotion, are remembered long after they've left the room, not because they were deceptive, but because they left her something to wonder about. In Stoicism, this is emotional restraint. In crave, the mastery of what not to reveal. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." The Stoic doesn't announce his worth, he lives it quietly and lets others sense it. This doesn't mean being cold or distant, it means choosing your disclosures. Let her feel your presence, attention and focus, but not all your backstory. Let your words carry weight because they're rare, not because they're loud. Let your vulnerability be earned, not offered too soon. When she asks you how you feel, pause, look her in the eye, say what's true, but only enough to invite her curiosity, not satisfy it fully. When you speak of your goals, speak clearly, but keep the depth behind your silence. And if she walks away because you didn't give her everything immediately, let her go. Mystery only repels the impatient, but it captivates the feminine energy, searching for something real, slow burning, and worth the journey. Remember, attraction is not created by availability, it's deepened by exploration. Be the book she can't put down, not the one with the plot explained on the cover. Comment below. I don't rush to explain, I let curiosity do the talking. Number 10. Women are attracted to men who can walk away. The power of detachment. There's a moment in every relationship where power shifts, not through words, but energy. And that moment is when a man silently proves willing to walk away. Not out of ego, not as a tactic, but because his standards are not negotiable. For women, this kind of man is unforgettable. He doesn't need her to feel whole. He chooses her, but he doesn't chase. He values her, but never more than he values his self-respect. And if she crosses a boundary, disrespects his time, integrity, or worth, he leaves. Not with drama, with clarity. Women are psychologically wired to be drawn to strength, not just physical, but emotional. The ability to walk away signals a level of strength rooted in a man's identity. It tells her, "You're not my source of validation. I was whole before you came. I'll be whole if you go." That creates fear of loss. Not threats, not neediness, but quiet dignity. From a Stoic perspective, this is apatheia. Not apathy, but emotional independence. Epictetus taught, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of losing her makes men cling, text more, compromise too much. But when you detach, not from love, but from outcome, you become unshakable. You don't use walking away as a move, you embody it as a mindset. You stay only when there is mutual respect, not emotional dependency. You leave not to punish her, but because you refuse to stay in a place where your soul is disrespected. And paradoxically, this exact ability to walk away often pulls her closer, because now she's not in control of your attention, she has to earn it. She begins to value you not for what you give constantly, but for what you withhold with principle. So here's the truth. If she never fears losing you, she'll never value having you. Walk away when your boundaries are crossed. Not loudly, not bitterly, just decisively, because the most powerful message isn't said, it's felt in your absence. Now, speak out. I don't beg to be kept. I choose to walk with dignity. You came here thinking women were confusing, hard to read, hard to lead. But now you know, it's not confusion, it's complexity. And when you understand it, you hold something few men ever do. Emotional leverage without aggression. Every subtle test, every shift in tone, every silence. It's a mirror into her emotional world, and the man who stays centered becomes the one she follows. Not because he forces it, but because she trusts it. But here's the catch. With power comes responsibility. These 10 psychological triggers aren't toys, they're tools. And when used with integrity, they don't just give you control, they create connection rooted in depth and trust. If you're ready to rise above tactics and become the man who leads without pressure, like this video, subscribe and comment. I lead with calm, I connect with truth. Stay grounded. Stay aware, because the real game isn't domination, it's understanding.